2019 Ford Raptor. This is your high performance dream car when you're a teenager. Everything you wanted to do to a pickup truck when we were kids is kind of basically on this vehicle. So air conditioning wise, let's get to the heart of the matter of what we're actually here for. Air conditioning. Here's a modification for you guys who have old 60s cars, early 70s cars, maybe 50s cars, where you have a big front end grill, but you want to put air conditioning back into that old car. You get a modern condenser. You could buy those universal condensers that are available from Old Air Car, Vintage Air, any one of the car companies that sell aftermarket. You want a parallel flow condenser. Don't get the original condensers. Now another thing you can do is if you could pick up an old, well, new, modern day condenser like this. Now look at this Raptor. Look at how long this is. This sucker, we got my arm here and my arm here. That thing's about a yard, 1 meter long. And you probably have a good 24 inches high. That's a condenser. That's a lot of cooling potential there. And look at the size of this receiver dryer. The can here on the side, that's your receiver dryer there on the side. That thing is massive. You have a lot of potential for storage there. And so if you were retrofitting over an old car, what you do is, if you can't get an aftermarket parallel through like Vintage Air or some of the big car names who make old car parts for air conditioning specialty only and modify them to a new an old car, you go looking at vans. You go look up trucks, something with a big cab area that needs a lot of condensing area, and they'll have the bigger parallel flow condensers. You could buy these adapters yourself, or well, I can, but these are all available aftermarket, and you braze up your and make up your own lines to go to the ends, and you fit something like this in your old vehicles. I really like it when they got them tearing apart and I could get to them and stuff like that. I get to check them out and see what the potential problems are. Like we look at this one here, and if you take a look right here, this wiring harness and its brackets are actually rubbing on the suction line right here. Now, what do you think that's going to do with road dust on there? When you have plastic or rubber rubbing on aluminum, believe it or not, a rubber hose always wins when it's rubbing on a metal pipe. The rubber usually wears right through a metal pipe. So don't know if it's just this vehicle, or in 5 years are we going to see a pattern problem of these Raptors developing leaks where they rub right here. You see they did a good job right here. They know they had a problem maybe with road debris coming up, hitting right here, so they put protection here. We're getting awfully close right here. It looks like they have good brackets. It doesn't fall, so don't think it's going to ever hit there. Here's another part. They put some protection on it. So you see they have the sheathing right there, but they have some wire loom rubbing up against, that would have been aluminum against wire loom. I guess they experienced problems or foreseen it, so they put protection there because they knew that rub through would come through. These are things that you look for when you see cars that are the first year they're out. You look them over, and then in your mind you think 5 years from now, what is going to be a pattern problem? So on this Raptor, charge quantity. Well, they give you 2 options, but the options are not the actual refrigerant charge. Come on, focus. There we go. So depending on your engine, and you look at the refrigerant quantity, they're both 879 grams on the engines. You go, okay, no big deal. They didn't change anything, but look down. Don't always say they didn't change anything. The oil's important. For some reason, the ratio of refrigerant to oil is greater on this engine than this engine. And actually, if it was my personal vehicle, even if I had this engine, I personally would have put this in. R134 isn't the best thing for lubrication on compressors. And that's a pretty lean ratio of refrigerant oil if they're the exact same compressor. Unless they change the compressor, because it's using the standard Ford, which is like, I think this one was the Denso double end capped right here, but that's just the Ford part number. So unless they have a different compressor, there's a reason for that. But if they were exactly the same compressor, this ratio of oil, 80 cc's to almost 900 cc's, that's a very lean ratio of oil to refrigerant. And so that's about it on this 2019 Raptor. As you can see, I'm pulling a vacuum on it, and 15 minutes has just went by and my gauges just turned off. These have an automatic turn off so you don't waste the batteries. If you ever accidentally leave them on, you won't kill your batteries. So I'm down to 127 microns right now and dropping. So I'm about to fill this sucker up. This was an accident. They just had to replace the plastic around here and take off the air conditioning just so they could do some work, and reusing the old condenser. I filled it up with nitrogen before I left here after doing a recovery. So this is on this Raptor 2019. And it has all the kids' toys on it. Look at the air ride suspension. You got your Fox. I mean, this is stuff we used to install when we were kids, and we'd hop up and modify our pickups when you lived in the country, and you just